What's up? It's Jeremy Picker from Amber Creative.
This is Deanna with In the Zoning and Print Girl Mafia.
This is Ray Weiss with Printing the Night of the Lion.
You're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Fashion to the people.
Into the show. It is Friday, May 8th, 2026. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery from Super Gamut and our Success Group. And Terry, this week we've got our good friend Tim Howe, who is the COO of Spectrum Design Foundation, is going to be joining us here in just a little bit. And we've talked to Tim a couple times, but I remember way back when they were, I wouldn't say just getting started, but we've talked to them. Obviously, this is a area that very interesting, especially to me, but to us. And so I guess today's kind of is an update, Terry. They've been growing and moving. In fact, he's coming to us from a new location today. And so we just want to talk to him about, how that's going, what's some of we want real, right? Like what are some of the good, the bad, and they are focused on a neurodivergent workforce and doing some amazing stuff over there that, again, is really near and dear to my heart. And I'm just excited to hear how it's been going from Tim here.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to Tim and Patrick here a month or so ago, and I'm like, man, we need to you guys are doing a lot of new things. Let's get you back on the show. Let's share with the regulators.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Tim here today. But and we got some other stuff coming up as well today, Terry.
So stay tuned till the very end for the secret sauce. Eric will lay out some simple strategies to figure out pricing for embroidery. So we love those pricing episodes.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. This is, I always love hearing this. And, Eric will get into the nuts and bolts for us, but, pricing is definitely something we did, 2-3 shows on it not too long ago. And
right.
I
don't think he's going to say $5 per thousand stitches.
25 cents per.
People used to say.
No, none of that's happening. So this is something you want to stay tuned till the end here. Bring your junior yellow legal pads for those of you that are Terry followers, or your dry erase markers here, and make sure to be taking some notes on what Eric shares with us a little bit later. And speaking of great information and just getting out there and doing some really cool things, we've got our friends from World Imaging News in the background ready and waiting to share the news with us this week, Terry. So all right. I'm ready when you are.
Let's hear from the folks from WIN.
Hey everyone, MJ here, coming to you from a very rainy Bogota, Colombia.
And I'm Dan Barefoot from Los Angeles, California, where I'm happy to report it's not raining here. MJ, we've got a packed show today, so let's dive right in.
Absolutely, Dan. But first, the real news. Did you catch the photo of Joey Montgomery in yesterday's newsletter? Aaron's family dog is absolutely adorable, easily the cutest thing we featured lately. And yes, that includes a certain chicken we shall not name.
Wait. Did someone say Hank the chicken? My dog really hates this chicken. Okay.
Dan, no, we're not doing this again. That joke is getting really old.
Hey, no jokes about getting old. Now the news, MJ.
Yes, our lead story from the last newsletter is the discontinuation of the GPX show, which means no show in Long Beach this year.
It's a real loss. When MBM ran the show, it was a fantastic event for Southern California, but the show never really recovered its footing after COVID. And it's not just Long Beach. The shows in North Carolina, Texas, Ohio, all canceled with no replacement events planned.
The GPX team did note that readership of their flagship magazine remains very strong, and it appears their audience is increasingly consuming content online rather than attending in person, which frankly sounds like good news for us.
It really does. Hey, MJ, give our viewers a sneak peek at what's coming. What do we got?
Oh, we have some really exciting news. In June, we're launching a brand new online magazine called The Wind Report. And our edition zero preview issue is all about flat laminators, product comparisons, specs, buying guides, everything you need in one place.
And buckle up because in August, our full debut issue covers DTF. That one's going to be really huge.
Huge is an understatement. And speaking of huge, Vespa Barcelona is coming up, and we will be right there on the show floor bringing you everything live. If you can make it to Barcelona, don't worry, we've got you covered.
We are already getting a sneak peek of some incredible new products dropping at the show. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss our next two regular guys sessions where we break it all down. But hold on, we have some more news today.
We sure do, and the vinyl transfer world just got shaken up. Caesar North America has launched a brand new direct to consumer store at caesarstore.com. For the first time ever, customers can buy straight from Caesar. No distributor, no retailer, straight to your door. New store, brand new website. Caesar is making a bold move.
And look, it makes total sense when you think about it. The vinyl market is feeling real pressure right now. DTF has taken over so much of that space. No cutting, no weeding, no taping. DTF just wipes out all of that labor in one shot. Now, for those resellers who built their business around Caesar products, it's a really tough pill to swallow. But most of them have already pivoted into DTF anyway, so the market's really adjusting.
And the consolidation doesn't stop there. Ricoh and LogoJet just announced a distribution deal for LogoJet's UV printer. Ricoh will now sell the entire LogoJet line through their channel partners. Two powerhouses joining forces for the UV market. That is a big deal for the direct to object market.
And it just keeps rolling. UV printers are now crashing into the DTF space with 3D UV transfers. And this thing's really moving at full speed.
In just a few past months alone, we have seen major announcements from Coldesi, Mimaki, Roland, STS, and Super Gamut. And even Epson is hinting at jumping into the UV transfer space. Folks, this is not a trend. This is a full blown industry transformation happening right before our eyes.
We're watching every move, MJ. For the latest in digital imaging news, visit worldimagingnews.com.
And for our Latino audience, head to worldimaginenewslatino.com and sign up for Win Quick News.
MJ, before we go, I heard a rumor that Colombia qualified for the World Cup. Is that really true? So, who are you rooting for?
Of course, Colombia is in the World Cup, Dan. Don't even ask. Of course, vamos Colombia.
Oh boy. I'm sorry I asked. Thankfully, Colombia and the U.S. are in different groups and will only meet if we both advance to the knockout rounds. I'm keeping a very close eye on that one.
You should be, Dan. You should be.
That's it for this edition of Win News on Two Regular Guys. I'm Dan Barefoot. Until we meet again, be healthy, smile often, and keep your printers printing. Hey, did someone say Hank?
Manténganse saludables, sigan sonriendo. Arriba Colombia, and please, Dan, lose
Oh,
the chicken.
okay.
All right, Terry, I had to bring Joey on live here, so hard to see your black dog on a black background. I didn't wear the right shirt, but can you say hi, Joe? All right. I'm gonna
Very
let her go.
nice.
She's
Hey, buddy.
freaking out.
Well, lots of. I think a lot of what was said there was about changes in the industry. I mean, we're in fast change up, and hate to see the Graphics Pro Expo go away after all these years. But maybe it's time for some consolidation in the trade show world. It is a difficult thing for vendors to be at all these shows, and the people attending don't know or appreciate the huge expense involved in those vendors being at all these shows. And
Yep.
obviously, vendors have kind of consolidated what they're doing as well, and that's I'm sure part of the demise of the GPX. But hey, the magazine's still there, and we certainly appreciate the folks over there at Graphics Pro.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you're right, Terry. And it's a tough thing. Like you said, the expense, but there's expense on the attendee side too, right? Like, so
Sure.
depending on where you're going and what's in it for everybody. There was just a lot of conversation about what the ROI is, and will be interesting to see. In a way, I think that means really good things for the DAX show. They've already shown that they're interested in growing, and actually looks like the Chicago show coming up next week there for the Decorated Apparel Expo is looking really strong. Decent number of vendors there, and so hopefully the attendees show up. So if you're in the Chicago area, make sure that you are getting over to that. And
expanding into new locations, Tampa this year as well. So Tampa was always a great show location and just kind of fell off the map, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure the expense and all that other stuff, right? So they're all figuring out what that return on investment is. So yeah, really good information from the folks over at Win there, though. Thank you very much for all that. I just love how on the finger on the pulse, right? We are so blessed to have these news outlets, like Win, like Apparelist, like ASI, that are willing to make sure that we've got all the information that we need to follow all these changes, how quickly things are happening. So if you are not subscribed over there at worldimagingnews.com, make sure that is your first stop once you get done with the Two Regular Guys episode here today. So
I always have a news item that I had not heard about, so I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and let's check in here. We've got Ramona saying good morning here, so appreciate you tuning in here this morning. We are live and excited to have you here. And Ramona commented about Dan and MJ. They always have so much fun when they do the news too, right? Yep, absolutely. That's why they fit in nicely with the Two Regular Guys. If we're not having fun, why are we doing it, right?
Exactly.
And then Doug Sobel checking in this morning. Good morning, everyone. So thanks for being here, Doug. Make sure you guys are letting your friends know to get on over here to the Two Regular Guys. Because they wouldn't want to miss this dad joke coming up, Terry. I think we'll see how we go here.
This is a true dad joke.
Very true dad joke. All right, let's do it. All right, Terry, whenever you're ready, let's hit that dad joke.
All right. So, Aaron, do you know what happened to the math teacher's houseplants?
I don't know what happened to the math teacher's houseplants.
They grew square roots.
That is a dad joke. A lot of head shaking from our behind the scenes guests here, both Eric and Tim. In fact, I'm happy that Tim's actually still here, to be honest with you.
All right. Before we dive in, thanks to everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participate in those show intros. Go to osg.link/intro. Read a few sentences, be a part of every show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you're listening to the podcast version, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast, as Aaron mentioned, with all of your industry friends so they can be regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions for Tim.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of Tim, if you are ready, Terry, let's get him in here. We got lots to cover here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right.
Hello, guys.
Welcome, Tim. Thank you for being here. So we've had you on a couple times here. I went and did some looking. I think originally it was 2018, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we had something a little bit earlier.
That was Patrick you had on in 2018.
Yeah, okay, that's
I'll
right. Okay,
never forget it. It was, to us, that was like us
we felt like we'd made it. Like it was great. I think I still have it saved on my phone, that podcast. I remember listening to it being like, this is crazy. How are we this like part of this industry now? I remember that very well.
Well, you guys are definitely a huge part of this industry. And so I guess start us off there, Tim, if you don't mind. For anybody that isn't really familiar with the whole story, tell us about Spectrum Design Foundation and kind of its genesis, what inspired its founding, that type of thing.
Oh, yeah. So Spectrum Designs was founded in 2011 by Patrick Bardsley, who is CEO of Spectrum Designs. He's been a friend of mine since we were 10 years old, right? We grew up together. We were class president and vice president in the UK, kind of hilariously called head boy and deputy head boy, but we dropped that quickly once we moved to the US. We're going with class president and vice president. No, but leaving that one to the side. Luckily, Harry Potter and Cedric Diggory kind of primed everybody for that. So like now people are starting to know. So we've known each other a very long time. And he founded it with two mothers of sons on the autism spectrum, right? And Spectrum Designs was founded with a mission to employ individuals on the autism spectrum, right? That's where Spectrum Designs comes from.
Yep.
And it's kind of expanded over the years as we have, and our mission is now broadly intellectual disability. We are an extremely neurodiverse organization. More than 70% of our employees are neurodivergent. And I think this year we will tick over 100 employees. We've scaled pretty rapidly over the course of these, like the two regular guys are like markers in our history. It's amazing. And so we're an apparel print shop, like a lot of the regulators, right? We're same deal, right? So Monday to Friday, that's what we're doing. We have embroidery, screen printing, DTG, DTF. We're doing pick and pack fulfillment, right? Print on demand for a couple of high profile customers. And we have people with intellectual disabilities just woven into the company. It was never something at the beginning. We were just trying to prove that this could work, right? We were trying to prove it on a very small scale. And we're like, we can do this right here in Port Washington on Long Island is where we were founded. We're like, let's just let's hire as many of these guys as we can, right? And let's just see what we can do. We never ever expected the scale that we had, that we've had, or the success that we've had, and slowly we sort of came to realize that this industry is perfect for the population that we're going after, right? So we now kind of straddle these 2 points that I feel like we're always coming back to, right? Which is, number one, the apparel industry is constantly looking for workers, right? Yeah, I'm sure a bunch of people listening will be thinking, oh, I still need that guy to be able to do that job. Oh, I haven't got somebody who can do the darkroom, or I haven't got somebody who's doing this part, or thread cleaning. Right? Now that's number one. And then on the other side, we have people with intellectual disabilities are constantly being underestimated, and people are kind of left behind, and autism especially, right? There's the classic fact that everybody always cites when talking about autism employment generally, which is that 85% of people on the autism spectrum are either or underemployed, right? So Spectrum Designs is we have taken that directly in the center of our crosshairs, and rather than sort of bang a drum and talk to people and say, hey, look, you should be employing these guys, give them a go, right? We're like, no, we're not going to approach it that way. Let's give these guys careers, right? Let's give them opportunities to become industry professionals, right? And just watch them fly. And no one's going to need to be banging that drum, because you are just going to watch them succeed and become incredible employees and career professionals, and now managers, right? And that is just being able to be a part of that is amazing. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I love it. But I get to kind of come at it from a separate angle, which is kind of operationally, right? How do we keep that culture while expanding, while constantly trying to find more of this workforce who is just completely underserved, turn these guys into seasoned professionals and just let them show the world what they can do. So that's kind of what we're all about. We have 3 shops now, which is crazy. I am right now situated in Spectrum Design's Hackensack, right, in New Jersey. That is why I have this big, completely bare wall. All suggestions welcome for how I can decorate this to look as cool as you guys do with your background. So we were founded in Port Washington. That was our first shop. So we have 8,000 square feet in Port Washington with 2 automatic screen print presses there, DTG, DTF, thanks Terry, and 7 heads of embroidery. Then we opened a second one in 2020 in Westchester County, which we have 8,000 square feet there again. This time 22 heads of embroidery, 2 automatics, right? So we're talking like high level production, right? Not compared to some of the shops in the industry, but we're really getting up there. And then New Jersey, we opened literally Monday. This is the very end of week 1 in this shop. So I'm going through all of that stuff that everybody here has been through. I'm setting up a printer and realizing I haven't locked the wheels, and then I nudge it and shift it out. And then, all of that stuff, and just remembering you don't have a stapler, remembering you don't have a label printer. You're like, this is ready to go UPS. Guess what? I don't have a label printer to make that label. So I'm rushing. So I'm going through all of that new shop stuff, but each time we get stronger and each time we learn a little bit more. I think everyone judges themselves on really what they forget more than what they remember, and I'm sure there's still stuff that we've forgotten, but this is a very exciting time for us, and yes, that's kind of a meandering way of telling our history. I don't want to try and cover too much of the stuff I talked about in November, and I know you guys are very like operationally focused, so I want to try and like just dial in a little bit on that.
All right. So fantastic. We love to hear the growth story. And so Tim, how does Spectrum Design Foundation's mission to hire adults in the spectrum shape your company culture? And you mentioned also about 100 employees now. What kind of, for our listeners, what kind of sales are we talking about for 2026?
So 2026, we're projecting to clear the $10 million mark for annual sales, which it sounds absolutely insane for me to say that out loud. 2025 was the first year where we had $1 million month, and that was just an incredible moment. I remember us printing on a T-shirt a $1 million thing, and us all holding up a 7XL T-shirt. There's a picture somewhere of it, right? That had $1 million on it, and it's like, we did $1 million in sales, like November of that year, right? And I was just celebrating getting to that milestone. So the fact that not only did we do that in a month in 2025, we also did it last month in April. That was our largest sales month in our history. It just it feels like being strapped to a rocket ship a little bit. And I know I'm always saying that, so apologies if I said that last time, but it's literally just how I feel about my whole career. The last 10 years just melted away. Yes, I kind of forgot I feel like I meandered away from answering your question there, Terry. Can you remind me what the rest of the question was?
Yeah, just how's this all shaped your company culture? You kind of touched on it as well, and I guess you need a 7X for all those zeros, huh?
Yeah, maybe an 8X this year. So I'm going to keep getting bigger and bigger T-shirts. Maybe that can go on the wall.
There you go. That definitely needs to go on the wall.
All right, that's a great idea. Next time I come on, I'm going to sit right here and I'm going to have a $10 million shirt behind me. So for us, we were proving in the early days, right, that this model can work, right? So now it is, how do we scale this, right? But we realized something early on that was ridiculously important, and I think it's what made us so successful. It's that as we create these systems that we create for inclusion, right? We are actually creating systems that help all of our workforce, right? Whether they're neurodivergent or neurotypical. It kind of makes no difference. The neurotypical people think that they don't need a quiet space. They don't need a visual workspace. They don't need, right, extra help like the magnifiers for cutting embroidery threads. But then they sit down and work with it, with our cutaway smileys and all these little systems that we've created specifically for our neurodivergent employees. they actually make all of our employees more efficient. And that is something that has been huge, right? That feels like a cheat code for us. And then the other piece is, I've never come across a workplace quite like this where people are celebrating each other's careers in this way, right? Yeah. Seeing somebody go from, hey, I'm just kind of putting stuff in a bag in ShopRite, but I feel like I could do more if only like someone would give me the chance, right? Spencer, our darkroom night in Port Washington, that is literally where Patrick found him. He was bagging groceries for Patrick one day and said, I want to come and work in that shop. And now he runs our whole darkroom and trains people on our LTS, trains people on our scoop coater. We then have him make videos, right? Put those videos on QR codes on that machine, right? And that was the whole plan, was then we can train somebody with autism then to learn this faster. But then who do I see scanning that code being like, okay, which switch did I have to turn first, right? Our neurotypical employees do it too. So those inclusive changes that we're making, I think, are the secret sauce, right? So all of that helps all of our workforce from start to finish, creates better communication, less confusion, stronger culture, right? And everyone is rooting for everyone else to turn this, what could be a part-time job as a trainee or into a full career, now, guess what? We're giving you a machine to run. So the challenge, I guess, about that kind of overarches all of this is, how do we grow and continue like this without just becoming another company and letting the culture slip away, and letting the culture of training and teaching and empathy, and how do we take that writ large? We never planned for that at all. We were always imagining, oh, there's something going on. I'm just going to go downstairs and talk to that person. We can't do that in 3 shops. Yeah. So we have to try and keep that humanity and culture while building bigger systems that can handle more volume.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I mean, what stands out to me, right, is we can think about this for all of our regulators, right? Like, you're building your culture into your systems though too. And you're not, like you said, empathy's built in. Like, it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum, right? Whether we're neurodivergent or not, we all have spectrum that makes us unique. Right? And as a father of a kiddo on the spectrum, it's so refreshing to feel that, right? Where you're building that stuff in. And like you said, I might go, oh, I don't really need that. But boy, wouldn't it be nice to, hey, maybe I'm having an off day here. If I could just scan this QR code and remind myself and not have to beat myself up because I messed it up, right? Or whatever. I just need a little quiet space today. Man, that's pretty cool. So, Tim, thank you for this. This is hugely awesome to think about. I think just in general too. And I thought that was what really stood out to me when we first started talking to Patrick and then started talking to you and, Jed in the conversation and all these things is, I think too often we have this, like, we either are doing it for like a bigger picture for their good, or we're doing it for profit. And both of those things can't commingle.
Right.
But you guys have proven over and over again that that's not the case. $10 million is a big number, right? And that's awesome. So I guess my next question is, obviously you guys have also then figured out and found some real strengths and talents that come from people that live on the spectrum there. And so you mentioned earlier how it was a pretty good marriage for the garment decorating industry and having neurodivergent talent. What are some of those unique strengths and talents that adults or people on the spectrum bring to our industry?
Great question. I get asked this an awful lot, right? And I always have to walk that tightrope a little bit when answering this question.
Yep.
Is I try really hard not to put a box right now around people with autism.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I just pick 2 employees, right, high-level employees, right, that we have, right, I have a head of screen printing who manages a whole department as well as all of the screen printing workflow, who is on the spectrum, right? And all of the incredible skills and craftsmanship that this guy has right? There are also bits that he struggles with, right? And all of those bits are echoed in, let me take Kelly, right, from our social media team, who is now a celebrity. Remind me, I'll talk about that in a little bit, right? Who's now a celebrity and can jump up in front of a camera and talk about what it means to have autism, what it feels like to have autism, and advocate not just on her own behalf, but on behalf of all people, all autistic people. And they have incredibly disparate skill sets. If I took Kelly, she'd be the first to admit, if I tried to have her run a press, she would panic pretty quick, right? So it's about finding the individual skill sets of our guys as we kind of learn more about where their skills lie. But some of the pieces we have found in autistic employees that I have been blown away by, the one everyone always jumps to is absolutely attention to detail, flyaway threads, ink's starting to run low and you're starting to get like a little bit of a gray line running through it, picking threads, noticing holes in shirts, right? That whole quality control piece, you can find the right autistic person who has that attention to detail, extraordinary, right?
Yeah.
If I was trying to pick some lines that run through everyone, right? One of the lines that I feel is there's a gratitude, right, to having a job, right? That is the one line that runs through everybody, is because a lot of our guys may have been told in school, may have been told in some cases by their parents, you're never going to work, right? You're going to be here the whole time. You're going to be on Medicare, Medicaid your whole life. And hearing that from teachers is an extremely tough thing, right? To then come to Spectrum and see somebody who is nonverbal and can't have a conversation with you, running a heat press and pressing things and moving stuff. And yes, so like Matthew is the guy who's jumping out at me. He can run a heat press completely independently, press, fold, box, label, out the door, but can't have a conversation with you about everything. He's not going to come in and talk about baseball. He is just completely focused. But you see how having a purpose completely changes him, right? He comes in, he knows where he has to be. He knows what he has to do. He knows how many it is. He's excited when there's a huge pile of shirts for him to move through, right? And that kind of gratitude to be given a chance is, I think, one common thread that runs through all of our employees. And I would encourage any regulator listening, if you can involve a person with autism in your organization in any size, way, shape, or form, it is going to transform not just their world, but yours too, because you're going to watch them grow and learn and start to achieve things that you never thought possible. And then there is that ability sometimes to be able to hyper focus on things, which makes it very, very easy to do training and things like that. It makes it difficult sometimes to get people to take lunches, which is the opposite issue that I hear from all of my friends in the industry, because they eat their lunch and they're like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to sit here. What do you want from me? They don't run off and make a phone call and book a doctor. They're just ready. I'm here to press shirts, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And then we are seeing it now in this building. We are starting to have trainees run through here, and the idea of this turning into a career and going from part-time piecework to a salary and getting benefits and being able to be independent, that's transformational for some people who've never really had the chance. So I think if I was going to try and find some common threads, I realize I've been very diplomatic on this, but I'm very hesitant to ever try and draw lines through people with disabilities because they're all so different. But those are the things that I see, and those are the things that really bring me joy, and what I love to be part of the organization for.
Totally. Tim, I mean, these stories are just, and I love how you attach them to these stories where you're seeing people, thrive and grow. And because you said it earlier, how many people on the spectrum are, first off unemployed, but secondly underemployed. We might, just as a society, I mean, I'm a father of a son with autism, and I catch myself holding him back from what he's actually capable of doing. just because of that societal kind of push. And so, hearing these types of stories helps me realize, what he's capable of. And so I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, we see that with parents a lot. The parents try and be on interviews. Parents try and tell us what their son or daughter can or can't do. And it's difficult sometimes to have to talk to them. Luckily, I don't have to do it. Marissa and Karen in our staff department, this monkey is on their back, where they have to sit down with the parents and be like, with respect, we'll tell you what they can and can't do, because we're going to put them in this environment where everybody around them is doing the same thing, where they're with peers, right? They're not the person in the room now who has the teaching aid right next to them saying, hey, can you, it's now, hey, this is a workplace. You've got autism, guess what? So is everyone around you.
Yeah.
Look how well they're all working. And that switch in mindset in the individual from somebody who is being supported to somebody who is working and on task is something that parents can't sometimes get their head around.
Yeah.
But it is really fun for us because we get to kind of just be the Willy Wonka in this and just be like, guess what? They've got a job now and they've got a career now and we actually need them at the weekend. So please, can they come?
Yeah.
So that is, and it's thank you for sharing that, Aaron. We run into that a lot, but it's very fun breaking down those barriers.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And
I'm sure our listeners are inspired by this just as much as Aaron and I are.
Yeah,
hearing these stories. So.
Yeah, Terry. Before you jump into that next question, in fact, I wanted to encourage the people that are tuned in live right now. If you have specific questions for Tim, this is a great opportunity. We've got somebody that is living this every day, and so if you're struggling to find somebody to help you, I know a lot of small business owners that I've worked with. They're always like, yeah, man, I really could use some help, but this, and it's like, well, okay, let's look at a different route here. So anyhow, I just wanted to throw that out there, Terry, for people to start putting some questions in there for Tim if they have them. But what's your next question, Terry?
Right. And if you're looking for employees, as our good friend Jet Seifert said, there are lots of employees out there. You're just not looking in the right place.
Amen.
Yeah. And I've had the pleasure of working with Jed on on writing the book that we were, when somehow 2 years have passed since I was last on, and I was on with Jed talking about the book.
Right.
The book is about to actually come out this month, I promise. And it will just be free. People will just be able to download it. If they signed up on INKclusivity.com, they can just download it and it's just going to be free. The whole point is for that to just be a worksheet, because we're trying to target not just the regulators, but just people in this industry at large who are thinking, okay, maybe I could have one, employee with a disability and see how it goes. And that's what we're trying to do, is how to break down those barriers that are just in the minds of the shop owners and the leaders to just say, hey, I'm going to take the plunge on this. And it might not work out the first time. But if Spectrum Designs can do it with 70% of our workforce being neurodivergent, people can have just one employee. And I promise it will change the way you see your own career, your own shop, and then just your trajectory, It's given me a huge amount of purpose, because I'm just look at all these people we're employing and look at this mission we're on. Look at this wave we get to ride. And I want that feeling for other shop owners and managers. It's indescribable to be able to feel like you've changed the life just by printing the same shirts that you were printing last week. But it's just now seeing how special that is to somebody else makes it so much more special to you.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, Terry. Well, let's keep going here. We get stuck in the weeds of this, but we got more questions for Tim here. Oh, I think we may have lost Terry there. It looks like he might be frozen. Oh, there he is.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Now you're back. All right.
Oh, okay.
The two regular guys gremlins have shown up for you. So there we go.
We're supposed to be 100 degrees today. Maybe that's affecting my internet. But so I have a question based on your past week. What are some of the biggest operational challenges in running a business like Spectrum Design?
Oof. I would say we have a lot. There's just like every shop. Most of our operational challenges is going to be the same as everybody else's. It's going to be bits that stand in the way of your production deadlines. I got to learn from two separate kind of expansion pieces that we've done. One was into Pleasantville in Westchester. We got to learn a lot from doing that. That's entirely our building, and we were setting all of that up. And immediately I started taking jobs from our shop and then putting those jobs in Pleasantville and just being like, okay, do it. But then the machines are new and the maintenance steps are new. And guess what? We don't have ink in reserve. So when that runs out, we're kind of done, right? Or we don't have the threads yet, right? So we learned from Pleasantville. And then in February, we actually helped, there's an organization called Global Connections to Employment in Pensacola, Florida. In partnership with them, we opened a franchise called GCE Designs in Pensacola, Florida. So we were there in February helping them set up. And then again, that was a huge white box that we got to put the machines in. And from those two things, I learned some very important points about expansion and moving into a new space. One is where the machines are is where the machines are right now. And where the machines are on your drawing is where the machines were on your drawing. Nothing is going to make sense until you are in that space and trying to move things from one place to another. There's a hubris to running a shop, or especially to running multiple shops, where you think you know where everybody needs to be and where everybody's going to stand and sit and how they're going to move and where they're going to hoop. And then once you get into that real world environment, you've got to be ready to pick that desk up and move it somewhere else, right? Leave that machine on wheels until the last possible second before you bed it in, because you're going to want to change how that product is flowing through the shop. And until it's real and you're actually standing there moving a hat from one place to another, you have no idea how it's going to work and how it's going to move. And a lot of the challenges that we had in Pleasantville, which was brand new machines, right? We've managed to avoid that this time by getting exactly the same machines that we have and that we're used to, right? And that includes the Epson and the shaker from Equipment Zone. Thank you, Terry. It was perfect for us in Pleasantville, and it's now perfect for us in Hackensack, and it is just running. Like out the box, we've done that setup before. Things like that, those unknowns, especially in terms of machinery and workflow, I would let them be try and avoid all unknowns to do with machines and embrace the unknowns when it comes to operational and shop workflow, right? That where that rack is doesn't matter. Move it, change it, change that flow once you're in there, because everything is gonna change. This time, for the first time, we are actually a tenant. So we have taken over half of the warehouse of an astonishing organization who we were very, very lucky to find here in New Jersey, called North Jersey Friendship House. So they had some space in their warehouse. They were trying to figure out what they were going to do with, and then kind of partnered with us to give us this space. So we're a tenant for the first time. We haven't really done that, not since our very, very beginning. And that comes with it. Operational challenges. I've been not arguing, but definitely having some choice conversations with UPS about when they drop off and when they pick up, because I'm so used to them following the rules, right? It's just like dropping off at this time and picking up at this time. I thought that was so normal. I forgot that that's something you have to work out with the driver, with the company. Where is the UPS drop-off zone if we can't make that drop off? I'm giving myself away here. Patrick's going to watch it and be like, what? How are you that disorganized? But I'm going to share it with you guys because everyone's been in the same situation. I was like, okay, I got my stuff and I was like, okay, ready. I got this stuff for FedEx. I'm going to go drop it off. There was nowhere that had a late drop off around here. We have a depot in Mount Vernon, very close to Pleasantville, which is basically just open until 8 o'clock. I can drop stuff off. Here in Hackensack, I've not established that at all. So I drove from here. Then I was like, okay, that's not going to work. I drove to a town I'd never even heard of. I'm not even going to try and remember what it was called, something Ridge, to try and do the late drop-off. Guess what? He's gone already. Truck's left. So I drove from there to Maspeth. And guess what? That was, by this point, it's now 7 o'clock. And they were like, no, you can't do that anymore. So I was like, well, where do I go? So I drove from Hackensack to then this other place in kind of about 20 minutes away in New Jersey, to then Maspeth in Queens, to then eventually JFK, to the depot, to just drop off one box. And I was like, this customer is never even going to know what I went through to get this box there. Their in hands was their in hands, and we had to go and make it, COO or not. Like, sometimes you just have to take the box and just run with it and be like, okay, I'm going to roll with the punches. I can't drop it here. So stuff like that never goes away. But it's a lot of fun, and I didn't realize that was going to be a story for me. So now I'm taking a positive from it, because I've been ashamed of that all week.
I think it was Ridgewood. That's where I used to live there.
Yes, must have been.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Well, this is such good stuff here, Tim. Thank you so much. In fact, Dean said, "Morning, fellows. Impressive build out, Tim. Love to hear about the growth and success." And then he asked, Tim, do you work the EOS at Spectrum? So I'm not, is that something that makes sense to you? I wasn't 100% sure what he's asking, but
I think that's I'm guessing entrepreneurial operating system. That's
kind of where I went. So Dean, if we're off, please correct us. But what's your any take on that, if that was the actual question?
Not in any formal way, right? I think EOS is it has a lot of that. A lot of our core values echo the values in the EOS, like people and process, right? They're kind of the same. And a lot of it's about the kind of problem solving mission. I think I'm on the right track. It does kind of make sense with how we're doing it.
Yeah.
We do when we can. We get a lot of curveballs thrown at us because our staff are very unique, and the way we train and approach issues can be very different from the way other organizations do. We are definitely trying to execute on our vision, and I'm trying to take as much data as I can. That reminds me of another operational issue I'll come back to. And so we don't do it probably as well as we should, but I am always open to new rubrics and kind of methodologies that we can execute on. And Dean, if you think it would be helpful for me to dive deeper into that, I would love to learn more about it. As I was sharing with these guys before the call, I'm out kind of traveling for the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to be reading my copy of Fundamentals of Business. So if there's anything else I can be reading and researching, I'm always more than open to doing that.
Well, hey, Tim, speaking of training, is there anything specific that you can tell us about how you train your management team and your staff? And the point is to be inclusive and also a profitable workplace.
Yeah. And balancing those is the push and pull of Spectrum Designs, right? Yeah. So we have Patrick, who is our CEO. I would never have known this at 10 years old, for sure. And probably, actually, I would say I didn't know this through most of our teens. Not going to call him out on this, but Patrick is an absolute visionary. The guy sees the future. He can just see where we will be in 5 years and 10 years, and he has that plan. Whatever that trait is, I do not have it. I can't see beyond what I have to do today. There is the now, and then there is some point in the future, whether that's an hour from now or 10 minutes from now. That is kind of how I work. So I'm very kind of focused in. Yep. And the fact that Patrick can think about all of that stuff and let me focus in on what's happening right now makes us work really well. So then underneath Patrick is then the two pillars, right? Me in operations, and then Marissa Borzakowski, who's our chief of staff, right? That push and pull that Marissa and I have of people versus process is how all of the training programs, everything have been created. Is that Marissa thinks only about our people and how do we make them improve and how do we make sure that they're better employees and people than they were yesterday, even if that is just a very incremental journey. And I try and think only about running Spectrum as a regular print shop, right? The way I think about it will be the same all of the regulators are thinking about their businesses too. So we then kind of argue is not the wrong word, is absolutely the wrong word. It's more we respectfully disagree and try and push and pull and hone those pieces. Yeah. I want everything to be task focused. Can this person trim threads, do load ink, do all these different pieces? So we have a full checklist, right, of every single task that will be required of that job, right? There is no inferred roles. There's no inferred tasks. Everything is explicitly split up into individual jobs, even if it is just cutaway backing, tearaway backing, solvey, right?
Yeah.
All of those different things. Each of those is measured on a 0, no idea what you're talking about. 1, I've learned it, but I wouldn't call myself an expert. 2, I got it, I understand it, I've done it, I know what I'm doing. We break every single task that is in that job role into that granular.
Wow.
And that doesn't just apply to trainees, to people with autism who come and join the organization. That applies the whole way up. If you're a manager, guess what? You just have another checklist. You have to be able to do one-to-ones. And can you have a difficult conversation with someone? Can you sit and empathize with what they're saying and listen and hear what they're saying, even if there's an inference there that maybe you haven't been doing your job the best, right? Those things, those soft skills, we have to have competencies on all of those pieces, right? Separately from that, Marissa then has meetings with all of the new staff, right? She has Karen underneath, who is a director of social enterprise at the Nicholas Center, which is one of our sort of partner agencies in Port Washington. And they go through each of the people rather than the tasks and say, okay, what is this person trying to get to and what are they trying to achieve?
Yeah.
That's not so different from the way a lot of training happens, right? We're still doing, at the end of it, strip back all of the neurodiversity of it all. We're still going through this process the same way all of the other shops are. We're just extremely purposeful and methodical about it. And that helps all of our employees. I'm going to have an ops person starting in New Jersey soon, and they're going to go through all of those individual tasks. And once they're done with all of the ops tasks, like making labels and shipping boxes, they're going to learn how to trim, cutaway, trim, like backing, because they're going to have to do it one day. I have to do it. I'm still driving boxes around. I'm still trimming embroidery. It's going to happen. So making sure that everybody has those tasks specifically explained to them. And if it requires it, we have a Loom video where you have somebody talk you through it. For our customer service team, it's going to be my director of customer service saying, hey, here's how you build a PO. Here's how you process something. Here's how you enter something into Printavo. Here's how you do these things. May build a Chipley store, all of that stuff. Each of those things, then, if we can, is a video. And if there is a video, there is a QR code somewhere on a wall. We have a program called Trainual, where all of this stuff lives as kind of like a Bible. Yep. And in there, it's granular down to who's the best contact at a supplier. If you need to call them right away and you need ink quickly, who's the guy you call, right? Guess what? It's Joe Catazone. Give him a call. He'll get it there the very next day. He's like the poor guy mixing inks for me in his garage overnight. But that's, you need to know this industry is about who you know for all of this stuff. Like if I need dye sub suddenly super fast, I know who I'm picking up the phone to. So I want to make sure that all of our customer service team have that information too. So it's about taking all of that stuff that lives inside my head or lives inside Patrick's head, making it explicit and turning it into a checklist or a resource for our staff. And that works for anyone, not just neurodiverse people.
Yeah. Amazing.
And our good friend Joe Catazone, Joey DeWing.
Joey DeWing. Yeah. Call him Joey DeWing. He'll
Joey
know.
DeWing. I've been calling him Joe the Cyclone Catazone, I think, for 5 or 6 years. And once AI came, I started making like a cyclone with his face every time he sends me. He just shows up at 9 o'clock in the morning with ink for a rush job. We have to have this exact purple. He's texting me these images, and I was like, I can't even tell the difference between the two things. He's like, this is a warmer purple. But having people like that in your corner, knowing that they'll answer the phone when you pick up, that's mean, that's every shop has that.
Joey has had many a plate of chicken wings with us, so mention Joey DeWing to him, and he will know exactly.
Joey DeWing. Joe Catazone is one of the salt of the earth people in this industry. So grateful that you guys are connected. All right. Tim, we could do this for hours and hours and hours, and we want to. So let's keep this a normal check-in. When you hit 10 million, I'm ready. I'm ready for the 10 million. I've got my pom-poms here, Tim. We're gonna celebrate big time. But you mentioned the book already. I know we've been talking about it. You guys, I'm excited for it to come out. In fact, just from a personal note, if you need anything at all with that, reach out to me. I got a couple of books out there, so I can help where I can. because I had kind of a question like, okay, what should people do if they're interested? But I really think that they probably just need to get the book. It sounds like as the right tool there. So give us a little plug on the book here, and then we'll talk about where our listeners can reach out to you at.
Yeah. So the book is called INKclusivity. It is a three-way partnership between Marshall Atkinson from Marshall Atkinson Consulting. This was his baby. He came up with this idea. He met Patrick and I, and then he met Jed and Vince from Steaks Manufacturing, and was like, "You guys have to meet. You guys have to talk. You guys are both preaching the same information to me. How can we all get together and make something that could be a resource, right?" Yeah. And then from that, we kind of took it and ran with it, right? So we were all editing a document, going back and forth about what do people need to know, right? Steaks have gone at it from the for-profit angle, and we are at it from the non-profit angle, right? So we're both of us are social enterprises, but we're the two different sides of that same coin. Yep. So we were like, across these different pieces, there is stuff that any shop can learn and any shop can pick up, right? So we're very focused on the people and like including as many people as we possibly can, and come in and we'll pay you and you'll try out and hopefully it all works out. Whereas Steaks are very like, okay, look, you have to be at this level to come here and do this. And how do you find those people and who can help you find it? INKclusivity is designed to be a free guide for people who are considering including neurodiverse and disabled people in their shop. What are the resources that you need to find? Who are the local resources? What is the legal framework that you need to know about it? What do you want to know about the Americans with Disability Act? How does that affect your shop? That's worth knowing anyway. Yeah. But the core tenets that come from that is taking a look at your business. I guarantee you have a disabled employee already. You just do, right? It's a third of all Americans have a disability of some description. Whether or not they disclose is another gate, right? That's maybe a yes or no. And whether or not you're even seeing it as a disability is the other gate, right? You may not even know. It might just be, that's just how Jed is. That's not, whether or not he has ADHD makes no difference, right? He is just a extremely animated, fast-moving expert on almost everything, right? So no one would look at him and be like, hey, that's someone with a diagnosis right there. So take an appraisal of your shop, find the people already, right? And then what could you be doing to make their lives easier, right? Are there accommodations, simple ones, visual ones that you could be doing, right? We go through all of those and how they've worked in each of our shops and how you could implement them in yours. And how do you find those people? Who are those local disability organizations that are just sitting with these just to talk about North Jersey Friendship House for a second, with astonishingly competent employees who, because of their diagnosis, just bounce off other shops. And then along comes Spectrum Designs, and I talk about it being a cheat code all the time. These guys they're already picking and cleaning and trimming flyaways and doing cutaway backing in a way that I would just never have imagined. And they're so unbelievably competent and ready for employment that I'm just giddy about that prospect. So those guys are there and they are around your shops, wherever you are, and they're just waiting, and other people are completely ignoring them because they don't make eye contact, right? Or they flap their hand when they talk, right? That doesn't matter to your shop at all.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It does. They don't have to pass the interview. They just have to be able to do the task. And we're talking about a population of people who are unbelievably competent and just are being overlooked. And it was a really interesting and important journey I think we took to writing this book together and kind of weaving all of those stories together. We're very proud of it, and we just hope it helps people.
Nice. All right. Well, make sure you guys get over to that website there, INKclusivity.com. Eric had it on the screen there just a moment ago. And then real quick, Tim, before we let you go here, let us know where people can connect with you. Ramona said here, we want to see that shirt on the wall, so that 8X shirt on the wall. And Jeremy from Amber Creative says, so many cool business models in our space. There's a place for anyone and everyone. So good stuff there. So Tim, where can people connect with you and learn more about Spectrum Design and everything you guys got going on?
So check out our website, spectrumdesigns.org. We just revamped it, so hopefully it's very pretty. It will tell you the history of it. You can see contact information for all of us on that website, including phone numbers for people who want to place an order. But just drop us an email. Thinking about opening a shop and want to include people with disabilities, we have that, right? We want to be the font of knowledge for the industry to help people kind of integrate this into their space, because our mission doesn't just end with our shops, right? Our mission is way broader than that. And when we want to be the standard bearers for disability employment and just try and encourage people in this amazing, already inclusive, fascinating. It's just, this industry is just full of like this personality type of people who just want to get things done, get it out the door and make it perfect and be part of somebody else's like walk, run, sports thing, right? We're all like that. And I love the people from this industry. I love talking to them. And it's so primed and ready for disability inclusion that people don't know that that's the personality type that these guys need to find in shop leaders.
Love it. All right. Last thing, Dean said Traction is a book that you should pick up. He said he finished Traction recently and absolutely loved the insights and methods, extremely helpful for any growing business. So there you go. There's a book recommendation. Tim, thank you so much, man. This has been incredible. Looking forward to continuing to see all these successes and everything that you guys are building. And when that shirt goes on the wall, we want it to happen here on Two Regular Guys.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Team Blue Cheese for life. And thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, sorry, Tim. Hold on. I got to keep you 1 second. We did get one last question.
Yep.
Who's your favorite footy team?
Oh, so my football team is Leeds United from the British Premier League.
Right.
We've been kind of fighting against relegation this season. I think we might be safe, but I've been Leeds from birth.
All right, we had to get that out there. So, all right, Tim, thanks again, man. Appreciate
it, guys. Thank you so much.
I'm glad I saw that in time. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Tim Howe, COO and Deputy Best Boy.
They were trying to get rid of that, Terry. Hold on a second, man. All right. Well, let's check in here. We got Eric still coming up here, so a little bonus time for you guys today. Since we weren't live last week, we're excited to be back here live today. And Kingsbury Craft says, great live today. Thank you. Okay, so Eric coming up. I'm going to share his real quick, Terry, and then we'll get to what you've got coming up, and then I'll close, and we'll have Eric in here for the secret sauce. Sound like a good plan for the rest of the show?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So, Eric, you want to join him today for the Take Up episode 252, Defeating Default Mode. If you find yourself consistently fighting with quality on keyboard fonts, stock files, and assets, or running into a wall with your first steps in digitizing and want to know why things don't just work or consistently lose on creating new treatments, you may be stuck in default mode. Let's talk about turning off cruise control and going beyond assumptions to create competent creative setups and settings. So there you go. If you want to join Eric at 2:30 Mountain Time or 4:30 Eastern Time, same time, in the afternoon there, just tune in to get yourself unstuck. You can head over to Eric Campbell, ERICH, Campbell.com, and click the Take Up tab at the top to access that and all of his previous episodes, many, many more things. So definitely check that out. Terry, what about you? What's coming up?
Isn't Default Mode, isn't it an 80s band? Anyway.
No, wait. Okay. Sorry.
My complete screen printing business course. Upcoming dates at Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago. June 6th and 7th, August 22nd, 23rd, November 7th and 8th. More future plans to come. Watch for all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, my next Business Builder Accelerator program, where we kind of implement the fundamentals of business success, is going to be starting on June 8th. If you want to get more details about that, you can go to osg.link/builder, and also go over there to that same link, osg.link/builder, and sign up for a no-charge clarity call. You know, so maybe you're somebody where maybe you're feeling stuck, a little scattered, second guessing everything that's happening in your business. It's just a great opportunity. I have this wild superpower to be able to kind of step back and see some patterns and ask a lot of questions. So I got tired of annoying my wife with all my questions, and now I can bring it to you guys as a superpower. But no, I'm just kidding. So it's just an opportunity really to just talk things out. And as I've been working through this first round of the Business Builder Accelerator that we wrapped up recently, I'm hearing things like, I'm finally feeling clear. I'm more confident in my pricing. And I think that's what it's all about for me is how can we help people find real clarity in their business and actually enjoy what they get to do each and every day. So if maybe you feel like you could use a little nudge or a little more clarity in your world, just head over to osg.link/builder and grab a time. I recently got to do that with a friend of ours, Craig Bradley, and I'm really excited to see what's coming up for him in the future. So that's kind of what's happening in the OSG world. Beyond that, I'm heading to the DAX Chicago show next week, so you can stop by booth 220 and say hello. I'll be probably wearing a similar shirt, maybe even this one. And I get to teach 2 classes and facilitate one more this time around in Chicago. They're all going to be on Friday. And so first thing Friday morning, 8:30 in the morning on the 15th of May, I'm going to be facilitating DTF 101 from file to finished prints, what actually matters. And this is a discussion that I get to facilitate with Rob Super and Sean Stewart. And we're just going to walk through kind of the real world DTF workflow. Right? I think sometimes we get too stuck on, oh, I got to look at my ink, my printer, my shaker, blah, blah, blah. Right? And all those things are important. But if you look at the big picture, you might be having frustrations other places and just not know it. And so we're going to highlight some things that we've learned about where most problems actually begin and how we've seen successful shops really reduce reprints, reduce wasted time, and reduce frustration. So that's going to be a great kickoff to the show there at 8:30 on Friday morning. And then I'm going to probably just be hanging out there in the education section for the rest of that morning. So in fact, maybe even to the afternoon. So at 10:30 a.m., I'm going to be teaching The Myth of Everyone is My Customer. And it's just an opportunity, I think, for us to walk through together a clear vision of who you serve and how to attract more of the right customers for lasting success. And so I'm excited about that. I got really good feedback on that class in Dayton just not too long ago, and in fact, they said that was the best class they'd ever taken. So I don't know. I haven't taken a Terry Combs class before, but I felt pretty good about that. And in fact, they ended up just on the spot paying to hang out into my next class, which was Bye Bye Burnout. And I'll be sharing in that class how to prevent burnout before it starts, and then creating sustainable habits that keep your creativity and business thriving even through those difficult times. So if you'll go over to daxshow.com, you can register there. Use the code SUPERROB2026, and you will get a $30 education credit by using that code when you sign up, SUPERROB2026. So.
By the way, Aaron, I was referencing Depeche Mode when I said default mode.
I think, I thought I said that, but yeah, good stuff. All right, well, let's get Eric in here. We've got some more great content coming your way, guys, and we are well into bonus time, so this is even more bonus for you. So you ready for the secret sauce, Terry?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I am here for the secret sauce to talk all about pricing for embroidery. So this is evaluating value pricing for embroidery. And here's the thing. I always hear this, how much should I charge for my work? I've heard scores of less than reasonable answers to this question. Depending on who you ask, it's ranging from universal flat rates by 1,000 stitches to some admonishment to go survey your local competitors and undercut them to comparisons to retail pricing. And unfortunately, these answers are just not great at considering the unique position of your business, and so they're limited usefulness to you. To give you a better understanding how to price your work for long-term success, let's review how to measure your business needs a bit, following up with a brief tour of some pricing strategies and the pros and cons of each. Knowing both how pricing strategies are structured and why you may or may not want to use them will help you craft an approach to pricing that best fits your business. And the first thing I think we need to do is mind the minimum. You have to make sure you're bringing in what you need to stay in business. And this begins with an evaluation of your operating costs, of course. But you got to build your strategy for growth and profit off of this foundation. Everybody starts with that break-even amount that you'll need to make in a year, balancing literal cash spent on and in your business, the amount you're charging. And while that's a chief part of what you should do for this calculation, it misses a critical resource. Frequently, especially with sole proprietors, and core staffers, you're not really getting the time investment accounted for. For this reason, I'm an advocate of starting what I call the minimum to maintain. And this number includes not only the money spent, but the cost of maintaining critical labor without which your business really couldn't run in its current form. So even if you're a sole proprietor, that you're a solopreneur doing this by yourself and execute all your work yourself, you have to have this as part of your initial calculation of costs. So it has to reasonably pay for your labor in an amount that enables you to continue to put in that crucial work, or that allows you to replace yourself with staff down the road. You'll start certainly by accounting for fixed costs that don't change, like facility leases and equipment and so forth. Variable costs like supplies, utilities, temporary labor, and the like can be added. But after that, you absolutely need to add the cost of your labor or the labor of your necessary core staff measured by the month. This results in the rough amount you must bill in a given month, not only to cover your spending, but to avoid the staff and or the time needed to do your work. Dividing this minimum to maintain by your available production capacity allows you to calculate what you must charge for a given job just to stay in operation. And I'm giving you some rough numbers, but trust me, numbers and calculators won't do all of this justice. But let's just say for an hourly accounting, we're assuming the number of working days is around 251 days. Trust me, there's some calculation on holidays and stuff to go into this. You roughly could expect 6 hours of an 8-hour day to be dedicated production. And so, like I said, you might get more, you might get less, but that's what we're going to use for these numbers. You'll have 1,506 hours in which to cover your minimum. Divide that minimum to maintain by 1,506, and that's what you must bill per hour of labor to carry on. To quote jobs based on this hourly pricing, you must estimate the time a given job is going to take. Timing common tasks and productions will help establish a reasonable idea of how long it takes to produce an average garment, provided you pay attention to complexity, stitch counts, and special processes that require additional processing and finishing. If you prefer to price by stitch count, be careful not to calculate based on the top speed of your machine, which you're not going to consistently maintain, nor necessarily the actual speed you run. Calculating by stitch count requires an average speed that also includes non-stitching activities like hooping and finishing. Conventional wisdom is that most shops only really manage 500 stitches per minute, and at least that has been the conventional wisdom. So let's imagine that's the truth and say that only allows for 3,000 stitches per hour to be executed other than those tasks. I mean, in this case, you can price basically on those units of 1,000 stitches, but that is assuming those averages. If that's true, we can only really get 180 thousandths per head per day, meaning we're going to have 45,180 thousandths per head per year. You divide that out for your minimum to maintain number, and you'll understand how many thousands per head per shop you have, and you can see how much you can charge per thousand to arrive at our most basic needs. But as you can see, those calculations now become a little more complicated, and so that's why a lot of people end up going to hourly calculations. They give us the absolute minimum we must charge for decoration if running machines at capacity. Though most businesses won't run at capacity, these numbers do often offer some kind of ready metric for quick estimates. Knowing that minimum can at least help us to make better decisions when we're unsure of a particular job is worth taking, and it at least can reveal things like gross underpricing. If you can tell that if you aren't running it, or you're like still running at capacity, you're not making your nut for that particular minimum to maintain, then you know you're absolutely underpricing beyond a shadow of a doubt. With those minimums established, we can start looking at profit models, and most shops are going to run on certain variations based on these different models. So let's describe those models really quickly for you. Number one, garment price plus markup plus decoration. Starts with your decorator's price paid for the garment, mark that up, and then adds the cost of decoration calculated in the minimum to maintain. This is often done with keystone pricing, doubling that garment cost. Pros for this, it's simple to calculate. It's a pretty standard industry practice. Cons, makes too little profit on extremely cheap garments, increases prices beyond customer comfort on expensive garments sometimes, particularly keystone pricing, and so that's why some people decide not to go there. But truly a standard. Next, garment price plus some profit adjusted decoration. Starts with the decorator's price paid for the garment, adds the decoration costs adjusted for the desired profit. Decorator decides on a yearly profit target, adds it to the minimum to maintain, divides it by the available work units for the year to get that adjusted decoration price. Pros for that, you're consistent independent of the garment, you're making estimated profits simpler, and you're based entirely on labor. Cons, you really require an accurate understanding of the time investment for task or process, and it requires you to predetermine the profit you want to make for a fulfilled year of production ahead of setting pricing. Next, we have garment price plus marked up decoration. This model is kind of the same as the garment price plus the profit adjusted decoration model, but instead of a profit goal, calculates the decoration cost simply marked up by a percentage. Pros, you don't have to do an excess of forethought and planning. Cons, super hard to forecast. You don't know where you're going to end up with it. like I said, these are the ones that we often see used, but then you'll see lots of people who decide, I don't want to do this and we want to go with something a little easier, and they'll often go to some sort of flat rate. Flat rates can work, but I'll say they do have some weaknesses too, so let's talk about those pros and cons. There's combined flat rates where you combine the garment and the decoration in one price. It usually really tightly specifies allowable decorations and garment parameters because we have to ensure profitability. I mean, we just can't allow too many things beyond what we're willing to do. There's also the per location flat rate where we start with the garment cost and add a flat fee for each decorated location, especially embroidery, left chest or sleeve or yoke or back or front. The garment may or may not be marked up in this case, but we do have those flat rates based specifically on those decoration locations and how many are there. Or we can see people who decide to do inclusive flat rates, and those are kind of rarely used, but they include the garment and any decoration in one stated rate. And those are probably the easiest to do, but really have the widest variation of profit margin. Flat rates assume a mixture of simple and complicated jobs that one needn't worry about individually on your labor and material outlay. But if you eschew the difficulties of calculated quoting, you don't have to do any of that pre-forecasting and everything else. You're kind of undefended from having a sudden run of really complicated, time-consuming jobs damaging your margins if they all come at once. Beyond that, customers with simple work are kind of essentially subsidizing customers with more complicated work, unless you price to the more complicated work, just meaning that the simple work might be pretty highly overcharged. The pros on flat rates, they're super easy to explain. Quoting is done away with. You don't have to calculate. Cons? Less equitable pricing for simple work. You risk too many unprofitable jobs sinking your margins all at one time, and the restrictions on things that are tightly restricted in order to maintain profitability can cause some confusion or some upset to customers who don't get why things are restricted so tightly. And the other thing I want to kind of cover with this is that you can also talk about volume discounts. People often ask me when they're talking about pricing, like, hey, can we do volume discounts? What is that about? Should we do volume discounts? Should we scale that up? Though you can grant volume discounts, I don't always like them just to see them as a reward for larger orders, but because you really do get legitimate scale that helps you make things less costly to run at higher volumes. You reduce time wasted in loading files, reviewing instructions, rethreading machines, and reducing errors made during all of these transitions. And certain levels of efficiency are only achieved when production is super dedicated to one job for an extended period without alterations in the run. You can offer volume discounts without necessarily undercutting your profitability, but you have to understand that efficiency, and it means you really do have to know what it takes to get a job done. Time studies are pretty crucial here. So let's kind of talk about that also with packing it up, right? The pricing may include variables from digitizing design costs and rush fees, especially processes, but the central truth of pricing is clear. While we don't want to overcharge in comparison to our competition, we have to account for resources required to run our specific business. So we have to kind of pack this all together and think about everything that goes in to make our pricing make sense. But the thing is, that means that your shop may be different from other shops and very likely is quite different. And especially if your equipment and your throughput is different. The way a single head business in a small home office and a 60 head shop in a commercial space charge for their work must be different, even if we only examine the difference in costs incurred by the potential volume each can produce. The thing is, we can really value that difference. The truth of the matter is, your shop and other shops are not equally suited to take different kinds of jobs. It's different what is best suited for you and what you are best suited to do for others. The 60 head shop might not be best suited to individually monogram 10 gifts with a different cipher for each one and different colors on each one, while the single head shop shouldn't maybe take on a 1,000-piece corporate order. In each case, those jobs don't cleave to the best value of the shop in question. And it stands to reason that while the best pricing structure can be really located in that space where the best value each shop can provide occurs. Whether that's based on your positioning, the technology available to you, or the skills of each decorator, what you can bring to the end customer also has an effect on what is the right pricing model for you and what makes sense as far as the jobs you take. What a customer is willing to pay is the true value of your work in the market. That doesn't change. But you need to convince your customer of your unique value. If you can do that, you'll be able to increase prices based on that perception. If you make their lives easier, offer simpler ways to order and receive goods, dazzle them with products or decorations unique to your shop, and make the experience of dealing with you enjoyable, the estimation of your value will rise. And that means we can up those prices we charge and have that value be recognized. In short, you have to know what you want to make. You have to provide real value in the way of quality products. And you have to have customer service and knowledge and creativity that is commensurate with that value you want to get out of your work. Leverage the experience it creates that perceived value of working with your shop and make that real for your customer. And you'll not only establish a price that your customers will be happy to pay, but one that's sure to allow your business to grow and thrive. And that is my secret sauce for today.
All right. Well, thank you, Eric. What a ton of information packed in there. So
exactly. And Aaron, let me add something that Eric mentioned on the front end: basing your pricing and also basing your production schedule on maximum production. And I see that at every shop. They do time tests and then base pricing and base their production on hey, we did it this fast before. We should do it this fast every time, and nobody does that.
Yeah, you do the time test, and it's like you're at the rodeo. I got it.
8 seconds.
Wow. Well, what a great show today, you guys. Thanks for everybody. Just appreciate the whole thing across the board, from our folks at Win joining us this morning. Great stuff from Eric there with the secret sauce. And special thanks to Tim from Spectrum Design. Man, what an incredible story. And
yeah,
if you guys, regulators, right, if you're listening and really listening for what he's saying there, this can absolutely change your business today. Like, you can go find somebody on the spectrum and change your business today, because it's going to change the way you think about your business as well.
I'm going to add that link to INKclusivity to my screen printing class handouts. So
yeah, that's a great call. Great call. Yep. So check that out. I've already signed up, so I can't wait. It should be coming out here soon, and looking forward to that. So yeah, thanks, Tim, for being here, and make sure you guys reach out to Tim and give him a high five, and let's celebrate him getting to that 8-figure T-shirt on the wall.
Yeah. All right. We also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for not only doing that great secret sauce, but pushing all the buttons and turning all the wheels to keep us on the air.
A little DJ action, maybe even too. I don't even know. Who knows what goes on behind the scenes over there? But
that's when he's E-rich.
Oh, sorry, Eric. That's on me. I put that out there. All right. Well, we're efforting for next week's show. So if you guys have any topics that you want us to cover, I'm going to be at the DAX show in Chicago, as you guys heard. So my Friday morning is going to be pretty tied up. So we may record something. We may, just depending on what we hear from you guys, the regulators there. So reach out to us and let us know. But we will have a great show for you on Friday, as we've done for the last 14 years. So
yep, one way or another, we will be here.
Like the post office, right? Rain or shine, we figure it out.
Exactly. All right. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.